In the vast expanse of the cosmos, where stars are born and civilizations rise and fall, Earth stood as an unassuming gem, a vibrant planet brimming with life, yet seemingly insignificant in the grand tapestry of the galaxy. The inhabitants of Earth, known to themselves as humans, were oblivious to the galactic narratives unfolding far beyond their solar system. The Imperial fleet of the Gorvax Empire, a mighty force revered and feared across multiple star systems, had set its sights on Earth. Their empire was ancient, expansive, and ever hungry for new territories. To the Gorvax, Earth was merely a strategic asset, a new jewel to be added to their vast collection of conquered worlds. As the Gorvax fleet neared the outer rim of the solar system, their approach went undetected by human technology. Their ships were massive structures of dark metal and glowing energy cores designed to intimidate and dominate. Led by Commander Vrax, a veteran of countless conquests, the fleet prepared for what they anticipated to be a swift and decisive victory. On Earth, it was a day like any other. People went about their daily routines, unaware of the celestial threat looming on the horizon. It was only when the Gorvax fleet entered the Earth's orbit that the first signs of their arrival began to appear. The skies darkened as the massive ships blotted out the sun, casting large shadows over major cities. The initial human response was one of awe and terror. Social media flooded with images and videos of the imposing ships, and news networks broke into non-stop coverage. Governments scrambled to respond, with emergency meetings convened in capitals around the world. Despite the panic, the Earth was not without its defenses. The United Nations quickly convened, and it was during these sessions that humanity's resilience began to show. Under the guidance of Secretary General Amira Chen, a plan of action was formulated. The Earth Defense Coalition, EDC, a military alliance of nations with advanced technology and trained personnel, was activated. The Gorvax, observing these preparations, remained supremely confident in their technological superiority. Commander Vrax, in his arrogance, broadcasted a message to the entire planet, declaring Earth's impending submission to the Gorvax Empire. He demanded unconditional surrender, promising mercy for compliance and utter destruction for resistance. However, the humans did not cower. Instead, they rallied. Across the globe, from the streets of New York to the fields of rural China, people prepared to defend their home. The EDC's forces, equipped with advanced aerospace fighters and experimental weapons, were mobilized to engage the invaders. As the first Gorvax ships descended into the atmosphere, ready to deploy their ground forces, they encountered unexpected resistance. Human fighters, utilizing guerrilla tactics and leveraging their knowledge of the terrain, began to inflict significant losses on the enemy. The advanced alien technology, while formidable, was not invincible. Commander Vrax quickly realized that Earth would not be the easy conquest he had imagined. Each Gorvax ship that was brought down bolstered human morale and fueled a fierce determination to protect their world. Amidst the chaos, a beacon of hope emerged in the form of an unexpected alliance. Scientists and engineers from different countries collaborated on a secret project, a new kind of weapon that could potentially turn the tide of the battle. This weapon, based on quantum technology, was untested, but represented Earth's best chance for survival. As the first chapter of this interstellar conflict drew to a close, the humans were not only surviving, they were learning, adapting, and beginning to push back. The Earth, it seemed, would not yield so easily. The battle for humanity's future had just begun, and the spirit as dawn broke across the battle-weary cities of Earth, the remnants of the Gorvax fleet regrouped in high orbit, their once imposing silhouettes marred by the scars of combat. Commander Vrax, unable to fathom the resilience of human forces, convened an emergency council with his top lieutenants aboard the flagship, the Dominator. The room hummed with tension, illuminated only by the glow of tactical displays and the distant light of Earth's sun. The humans possess neither the technology nor the firepower of our fleet, Vrax growled, his voice echoing off the metal walls. Yet we have failed to secure even a minor outpost. Explain. His eyes, cold and calculating, swept over his subordinates. A younger officer, Talik, who had studied human warfare, spoke up. "Commander, our intelligence underestimated their adaptability. They are resourceful and unpredictable. It's not just their weapons. It's their willingness to sacrifice and adapt quickly to new strategies." Vrax pondered this, his clawed hand tapping on the arm of his throne. "Then we must disrupt their unity," he decided. "Deploy the Harrowers to their communication satellites. If we sever their lines of communication, we can isolate them and crush their resistance city by city." Back on Earth, amidst the chaos of a planet defending itself, Dr. Lena Mirov, a leading physicist, worked tirelessly in a secret laboratory buried deep beneath the Swiss Alps. She and her team were on the brink of completing the quantum disruptor, a device capable of neutralizing the Gorvax's energy shields, which had made their ships nearly impervious to conventional weapons. As Lena adjusted the final components of the device, her assistant, a young engineer named Raj, monitored the incoming data. "The quantum fluctuations are within the acceptable range," he reported. "But we need a real-world test to confirm its effectiveness." Lena nodded, her eyes weary but determined. "Arrange for transport. We'll need to test this in the field, directly against a Gorvax ship. It's our best shot." Meanwhile, in the skies above Tokyo, Captain Maria Vasquez piloted her fighter through the debris of a recent skirmish. Her squadron had been one of the most effective in the EDC, using hit-and-run tactics that had become textbook maneuvers for other units. As she maneuvered her craft behind a damaged Gorvax cruiser, her communications crackled to life. "Captain Vasquez, this is EDC Command. You're being reassigned for a special operation. Rendezvous at Point Echo for briefing and rearmament. You're going to be the first to trial a new weapon." Maria acknowledged the orders, a mix of adrenaline and anticipation coursing through her. She had seen too many close calls, too many comrades lost. The promise of a new weapon gave her hope that the tide might finally turn. On board the Dominator, Vrax initiated the next phase of his plan. "Deploy the Harrowers," he ordered, his voice devoid of doubt. Moments later, sleek dark vessels detached from the main fleet, streaking towards Earth on a mission to shatter the planet's communication network. As the Gorvax moved to execute their strategy, Lena and her team transported the quantum disruptor to a hidden military base where Maria's squadron was gathering. The air was thick with urgency as Lena briefed Maria on the device's capabilities. "It disrupts the quantum field around their shields," Lena explained, pointing to a compact cylindrical device no larger than a suitcase. "Attach this to your craft, get within range, and it will do the rest." Maria listened intently, understanding the gravity of her mission. "How close do I need to get?" she asked. "Within 1,000 meters, Lena replied. "It's risky, but it's the only way to ensure the disruptor's effect." As Maria prepared to take flight with the fate of the planet hanging in the balance, the Gorvax Harrowers began their assault on the satellites, casting the first shadows of silence over parts of Europe and Asia. Earth's defenders rallied, knowing that each moment was crucial, and the battle for their planet was entering a critical new phase. The silence cascading through the disrupted communications networks created a blanket of unease that settled over Earth's major command centers. In the temporary quiet of a severed digital world, strategists and military leaders used what little connectivity they had left to coordinate a counterstrike. The attack on their satellites had been a significant blow, but not a fatal one. Emergency protocols designed for such scenarios were swiftly enacted. In the depths of a makeshift command center, General Huang oversaw the frantic efforts to reroute communications through underground cables and secondary systems. "We need those links up 5 minutes ago," he barked, his voice a sharp contrast to the hushed tones of technicians working diligently around him. Above the Pacific Ocean, Maria's fighter jet, now equipped with the quantum disruptor, streaked towards its target. Accompanied by a squadron of the best pilots the EDC could muster, she felt a heavy responsibility. The success of their mission could shift the dynamics of the entire conflict. The Gorvax cruiser loomed ahead, a monstrous silhouette against the backdrop of a stormy sky. Its shield shimmered with a spectral glow, undulating gently, a stark reminder of the alien technology that had so far repelled most human attacks. Maria tightened her grip on the controls, her focus absolute. "All wings, stay tight and watch for flak," she instructed. Her voice was calm, belying the pounding of her heart. The squadron dipped and wove through anti-aircraft fire, a ballet of high-speed maneuvers and close calls. As they closed in on the cruiser, Maria activated the disruptor. A soft hum, barely audible over the roar of her engines, filled the cockpit as the device powered up. "Approaching optimal range," she reported, eyes locked on the distance meter flickering on her dashboard. Just then, the cruiser launched a barrage of plasma missiles, bright streaks of deadly energy that sizzled through the air. Maria and her team zigzagged through the onslaught, their ships dancing between life and death. "Disruptors at full power," Maria said, pulling her fighter into a perilous arc that brought her within 1,000 meters of the cruiser. She pressed the release, and the disruptor detached, hurtling towards the alien ship. A brilliant pulse of light erupted from the device as it activated, and the cruiser's shields flickered erratically, then collapsed entirely. Cheers broke out across Maria's comms, a rare sound of jubilation amidst the din of war. Below on Earth, Lena watched the live feed from the command center, her team holding their breath as the disruptor worked its magic. The success was more than technical. It was a beacon of hope. "Prepare for mass production," she ordered, turning to her team. "Every unit needs to be armed with this tech." Taking advantage of the downed shields, Maria led her squadron in a final assault. They unleashed everything they had at the now vulnerable cruiser, missiles and laser fire tearing into the alien hull. Within minutes, the once dominant Gorvax ship began to list, flames bursting from its sides as it descended toward the ocean. The victory was immediate and profound, a clear signal to the Gorvax that Earth would not fall quietly. As word of the disruptor's success spread, resistance cells around the world felt a renewed surge of determination. Plans were quickly drawn to replicate the mission, to take down more of the fleet with the same deadly efficiency. On board the Dominator, Commander Vrax received the news of the cruiser's fall with a fury that shook his command crew. His next move would need to be decisive, for the balance of power had shifted subtly, but significantly. The humans had proven their capacity not just to survive, but to strike back with devastating effectiveness. His eyes on the holographic displays flickering with reports of human resilience, Vrax prepared his empire for a war they had never anticipated, one against a planet united not just by fear, but by a fierce will to defend their home. In the shadowed halls of the Dominator, Commander Vrax convened his war council, the atmosphere charged with a volatile mix of rage and disbelief. The holographic table at the center flickered with images of the downed cruiser, its once formidable silhouette now a smoldering wreck in the Pacific. "This is not merely a setback!" Vrax thundered, his voice echoing menacingly. "It is an affront to the might of the Gorvax Empire. We must respond with overwhelming force." His chief strategist, a weathered veteran named Sylor, stepped forward. "The humans have exposed a weakness in our approach. We rely too heavily on our shields. Perhaps it is time to consider a change in tactics. We could use subterfuge or even bioweapons to weaken them from within." Vrax considered this, his gaze piercing the dim light. "Prepare the bioagents. We'll unleash them discreetly. Let these humans deal with chaos on their own soil." Meanwhile, back on Earth, news of the disruptor's success had invigorated the global defense efforts. In secret bases, workshops, and research facilities, scientists and engineers labored around the clock to equip more fighters with the quantum disruptor technology. Lena and her team refined the designs, improving efficiency and potency, aware that time was a luxury they did not have. In New York, an underground bunker served as the new command center for the EDC. General Huang was joined by leaders from various continents, all connected through a secure, newly established communication network. They monitored global troop movements and resistance efforts, coordinating strikes and sharing intelligence. "We need to be cautious," General Huang advised, his eyes scanning the digital maps and reports streaming in. "The Gorvax are not just going to bombard us from space. They're cunning. Expect sabotage or worse." His words proved prophetic. Within days, several major cities around the globe reported outbreaks of a mysterious illness. The symptoms were severe and spread rapidly, overwhelming local healthcare systems. Dr. Amelia Cruz, a leading epidemiologist, was summoned to investigate the outbreaks. After examining samples under high security, Dr. Cruz made a chilling discovery. "These pathogens are engineered," she revealed during a secure video conference with health and military officials. "It's a targeted bioattack. We need to develop a vaccine immediately, but we'll also need to find a way to trace the source and method of delivery." As Earth's defenders battled the biological threat, Maria and her squadron continued their aerial assaults against the weakened Gorvax fleet. Each mission leveraged the disruptors, and each success brought them closer to freeing Earth's orbit from alien control. One night, as Maria prepared for another sortie, she received a transmission from an unexpected source. A Gorvax defector calling himself Kale offered crucial intelligence on the bioweapon deployments. Skeptical yet intrigued, Maria agreed to a rendezvous in the ruins of what was once San Francisco. Kale, cloaked in a makeshift disguise to obscure his alien features, met with Maria amid the shadows of crumbling buildings. "I cannot stand by while my people commit these atrocities," he explained, his voice a low hiss. "The bioagents were deployed by stealth drones. They targeted your water supplies." Armed with this new knowledge, Maria relayed the information back to General Huang, who immediately coordinated with international agencies to secure water facilities and develop countermeasures. With each passing day, the Earth grew more adept at countering the threats posed by the Gorvax. The combined efforts of military strength and scientific innovation, bolstered by unexpected alliances, formed a formidable defense. The resolve of Earth's inhabitants, fueled by the need to protect their home, transformed their planet into a fortress that no Imperial fleet, no matter how powerful, could easily conquer. As the Gorvax found their strategies thwarted and their advances repelled, the tide of war slowly but inexorably began to turn. The humans, united in purpose and spirit, continued to fight not just for survival but for victory. Commander Vrax watched the latest reports with growing frustration. The humans' resilience was proving more formidable than any opponent the Gorvax Empire had encountered in its centuries of conquest. His fleet was dwindling, the morale of his warriors ebbing as Earth's defenses adapted and responded with ever-increasing effectiveness. In a strategic move born of desperation, Vrax ordered his remaining ships to cluster in a defensive formation around the Dominator, creating a fortress in the sky. "If they want Earth, they will have to breach the heart of our fleet," he declared, setting the stage for a decisive battle. On Earth, preparations were underway for what many believed would be the final push. General Huang and his counterparts in the EDC had gathered their forces, bolstering their defenses and planning an all-out assault on the Gorvax's orbital stronghold. The quantum disruptors had been mounted on more fighters, and experimental weaponry had been distributed among the ground troops. In the midst of these preparations, Dr. Cruz and her team made a breakthrough in their research on the bioweapon. They had developed a vaccine that was proving effective in neutralizing the pathogen. Mass production began at an unprecedented pace, and distribution channels were secured to ensure the vaccine reached affected populations worldwide. As the vaccine was disseminated, Lena briefed a special unit of pilots, including Maria, who were chosen for the critical mission. "Your objective is clear," Lena outlined, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "Break through the Gorvax formation, disable the Dominator's defenses, and create an opening for our ground forces to strike." Maria listened intently, her resolve steeling. She and her squadron had trained for scenarios like this, but the reality of the mission weighed heavily on them. The sky would soon be filled with a storm of fire and metal, and not all would return. The battle commenced at dawn. The Earth's forces launched from bases around the globe, ascending through the clouds with a thunderous roar. Maria led her squadron directly toward the heart of the Gorvax formation, dodging intense fire from enemy ships. The space around Earth turned into a chaotic ballet of explosions, maneuvering ships, and deadly projectiles. Maria's disruptor-equipped fighter darted through the melee, targeting the weaker points in the Gorvax defenses. Each successful strike by her team sent ripples of hope back to those watching from Earth. Amidst the fierce aerial combat, Kale, the Gorvax defector, transmitted critical intelligence to the EDC, identifying a vulnerable reactor core on the Dominator. Armed with this information, Maria made a calculated decision to reroute her path, leading a small team on a risky maneuver to target the reactor. As they approached, the Gorvaks unleashed a fury of defense mechanisms. Maria's ship shuddered under the barrage, alarms blaring as she pushed forward. Just meters from the target, she launched the final disruptor charge, watching as it collided with the reactor and ignited a massive explosion that tore through the Dominator. The impact of the explosion created a chain reaction. The once unassailable flagship began to fracture, its structural integrity compromised. The surrounding Gorvak ships caught in the blast scrambled to retreat, their formation broken. On Earth, cheers erupted from command centers and among the troops as they watched the Gorvak's flagship falter. Energized by the success, ground forces launched their coordinated strikes, targeting the disoriented Gorvak's troops who were now vulnerable without the Dominator's support. The battle raged on, but with each passing hour, Earth's forces gained ground. The Gorvaks, realizing the futility of their position, began to surrender, while others retreated in disarray, their invasion thwarted. As the smoke cleared in the aftermath of the decisive battle, Earth's skies cleared as the last of the Gorvak ships retreated into the void of space. The world, once on the brink of subjugation, now basked in the light of victory, a testament to the determination and ingenuity of its people. Commander Vrax, aboard the crippled Dominator, now drifting aimlessly as a derelict hulk, faced the remnants of his shattered fleet. The defeat was more than a military debacle. It was an existential blow to the Gorvaks Empire's invincibility. For the first time, the myth of their supremacy had been dismantled, not by a formidable alien race, but by a seemingly primitive species clinging to the edge of the galactic frontier. As he contemplated the ruins of his ambition, Vrax communicated his final orders, his voice no longer commanding but resigned. "Cease hostilities and retreat to the rendezvous point in the Cygnus sector," he instructed. "Preserve what remains for the survival of our race." With these words, the Gorvak's commander turned away from the command console, his career as the Empire's most feared strategist ending not with a roar, but a quiet, ignoble whisper. Back on Earth, celebrations erupted across continents. Cities that had been bracing for annihilation now thronged with jubilant crowds. From Tokyo to New York, from Cairo to London, people of all nations marked their survival and newfound unity with an outpouring of relief and joyous revelry. Flags, songs, and spontaneous parades filled the streets as the entire planet shared a collective moment of triumph. In the Underground Command Center in New York, General Huang and his team solemnly decommissioned the